What high school did you go to?
I went to high school, it was called Burke High School.
Burke High School.
And again, that was not in the same school district as the middle school that I went to. I actually wanted to go to a different middle school. I mean, a different high school because the majority of the people that were in the middle school that I went to would have been at the high school that I wanted to go to. But I didn't go there. I went to a high school that was closer to where my grandmother lived. So I feel like it was a thing where, involved transportation and things like that. But I met my husband at the high school that I went to. So like I said,
Oh,
it's probably like a thing that was meant to be. So yeah.
aw. I love that for y'all. Oh. Yeah, so when you, yeah, so around the time I said that was the time that you, met your husband, but I wanna know more about, um, was that the time when you met you? So to speak?
Yeah, I think I was definitely starting to meet me during those years. Yes.
And
Mhm.
what's some of the things that you got to know about yourself at that particular time?
I mean, I realized that I was never like the girl to like fit in into like a certain group because that's when I started to see there were like these cliques. That's when you really started to see the cliques when you were in high
Oh,
school.
yeah,
You
yeah.
saw the little different friend groups that I had like when I was in elementary school and middle school, but it just was what it was. But it seemed like in high school, then you started to have these cliques. So like this was the whatever clique and the other clique and this clique and that clique. And I was never like in any specific clique like that because I felt like there were some people that I just knew in the different cliques. And if I wanted to have a conversation with them, I would have a conversation with
Ok
them because the way
right,
I thought it was like once I was done with school, I wasn't hanging out outside of school with these people for the most part. I think there were a few times here and there where someone invited
right.
to like a sleepover or something like that, but that wasn't very often. And honestly, even and I say this all the time to people that I know, just because I became a teen mother doesn't mean I was promiscuous because I wasn't.
Right. Oh, no,
You know?
no. Yeah, yeah.
And so I wasn't sleeping around with a bunch of different people and doing all of those things like that. The guy that I met in high school and we were in a relationship, even though we were young. And like I said, when you're
Yeah.
younger, you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
feel like you're young until you look back on those years
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God,
Mhm.
I was a child."
Yeah.
But we
Mhm.
were in a relationship and it was one of those things where I I have the story of actually being on using birth control and getting pregnant. So I'm one of those, statistics
One percenters. One
always
percenters. Yeah.
it doesn't always work. So, but my son is here and, we never had any more children. So, yeah.
Oh, so with your, husband, is that, or they have no children with
Yes.
together?
What's that?
You and your husband, you don't have children? Oh, that's your husband. Oh, that's your husband.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
the only child we ever had is what I'm saying. So
Oh, that's even more of a blessing that, so y'all been together all that time?
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh my good. Oh, wow. I would
Saying
no,
he
this
didn't
is a
or it just never happened because, over the years we focused on college and then he's also
right.
been in the military and you know what I mean and all those different things and it just did not happen. And so it was like, well, look, I'm not going to have a baby and a 30-year-old or 25-year-old. So it's like we got to do something. So I'm
Mm,
not going to be one of those that does that. No knocking, not knocking
mhm.
anyone that has, but
Right, right.
I did not want that for myself. Husband is my best friend and life's. So I always say life isn't easy, but if you are married and in a relationship with someone that you love, then you can get through those hard times together. It shouldn't be that marriage is hard or it's hard to be in a relationship
Right.
with someone. And I will never sit and give anyone relationship advice because I know that what I have been able to experience and go through may not be what you're going through. So I can't tell you what to do because I didn't go through what you went through. And it's not a flex or a brag point or anything like that. But
Mhm, mhm.
it just is one of those things where I just feel like I see a lot of people these days that utilize their relationships to monetize it. And it's just like, and then you see them later and they're like, news comes out that they've been
Oh god. Yeah. Oh Lord. Yeah, go yeah, you can go ahead and say it. Go
yeah,
ahead and say it because
all kinds of
it's
stuff. I mean, yeah. So
yeah.
yeah. So I just feel that you really just have to do your best to be led by your spirit and praying and stuff like that because I realize that marriage isn't for everyone. I will never sit and tell anyone that you should do this or whatever because it's what I did. What is good for me may not be good for you and
True.
vice versa. You know what I mean? But and that's one of the reasons why I don't even really talk about relationships too much because I will never sit and argue with anyone about my situation and theirs because I find that a lot of people love to debate and say, well, there's no way that you could. It's like, how do you know? Just because you
Right.
went through that means that I had to have gone through that, and I'm not.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Projection.
just like
Mhm.
I would never waste my energy on having conversations with people about stuff like that because I do realize that a lot of people just like if I did, which I don't do this, if I talked about relationship stuff, it would be from my experience. And I realize that a lot of people speak from their experience because they have the experience of going through very bad situations with people that they have given their heart to and they had their heart broken or they were, you know what I'm so I'm not here to not value your feelings and invalidate how you feel, but don't try to bring that to my doorstep because that's what you experienced. I hate that
Yes.
you do that, but it doesn't mean just because I went through that you went through that means that I'm
Yeah.
going to go through that.
And that drives a wedge in a lot of relationships when they project their situation onto somebody else's that already had a solid foundation. Now you're trying to break theirs? No, 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 no. That's not fair. That's not cool.
Yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Ex Yeah, because you have a like I said, what you have is real because from high school now, was there any on and off periods or anything? Because people say, "I've been on and off with this person since high school," or, "I've been on and off since college." So, did you have those periods, where you felt like you wanted to explore other options or you felt like you was missing out or, like, was those either one of you had those periods in your lives?
I mean, I can honestly say that I've never had that, and we've been together all of these years, married, and he's never felt that way. And I mean, like I said, we really have been each other's best friend. Like we would when he was, the times where he wasn't deployed and he was here working and, we would work and come home. And so, what are we having for dinner on the weekend? Or what are we
Mm.
going to do this weekend? Like I'm thankful. My husband loves to spend time with me. I'm
Oh,
actually one of the
that's so
people
great.
that is,
Yeah.
I love my husband and I love being around him, but I'm an introvert and I'm also one of those people that, um, I when I feel like I'm getting crowded or whatever, I just need like a little space or a break. And I'm not talking about a space and break in terms of separation, but I'm just saying like,
Oh, yeah, I think you do need I thought that's good though. In your perspective, don't you think it is good sometimes to have, your separate interest and,
no,
separate
100, yeah,
yeah.
100%. And
I
I'm
know what
just
you meant, yeah.
and I'm just trying to clarify when I say, my husband loves, to be around me. I'm not saying that I don't love to be around him because I do, but I'm just saying that
Mhm.
he is the one that is more um expressive about it. I've become better over the years, but like I said, we've been together since we were pretty much teenagers, older teenagers, but still teenagers. And so he's always been expressive about that. Like I'm coming over, I'll be over at this time or whatever, before we got married. And but so I was never the one where I was always, where are you at? When are you coming over?
Yeah,
I never had to sweat him and be trying to find out where he's at.
yes, yes.
Back then we had the beepers and that type of stuff.
Yes,
I was
yes.
never having to page him all the
Don't
time.
you do
Where
that.
are you at? When you getting over here? What that it was. I did not have that experience, and I I didn't know what a whole lot of other people were going through until you start hearing stories, and I
Yes,
never was.
right,
Yeah, and I would never sit and say, "Oh, sorry for you." I would never sit and compare.
right,
But then when I
right.
sit and hear some things, it's like, "Dang, I'm sorry that they're
Yeah,
going through
like, wow,
this."
thank God I have what I have. It's not, and then you realize it's not, I'm not really am I missing anything out here in this dating market, you're not.
And
You're
and
not you're
that's
not missing
and
anything.
that's what I'm saying, and when I think about how a lot of people operate, especially now, but they were doing it back then too, but it's just more pronounced because you got social media and it's just, like, constantly in your face, and we just also grew up in a different time where the music you had options. You had Little Kim, but then you also had Queen Latifah. You know what I mean? Now everybody is every female, it seems like, is just you know, sex, sex, sex.
Out there objectified. Mhm.
It's very, very, very much
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
objectifying their bodies, and so, I mean, and I've always thought from a health aspect, so, it wasn't it
Yes.
just never something that I felt like I was missing out on, or I just had the urge to, "Oh, I gotta try something new," this is
That's
eh,
great. Yeah,
yeah.
it's so refreshing. I mean, I know. I'm really enjoying this. It's so refreshing to hear. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I really appreciate
just
that.
contrary to popular belief, not every
Mhm.
person and it's not judging anybody that does, but,
Right.
one of the things that I've learned, just because someone doesn't have what they call now a lot of bodies, does not make them
Right.
good. It just makes them a person who made a decision for themselves. Just like I don't judge you because I feel that there are people who will judge more so these days that you did not have those types of experiences
Oh, they
versus
do.
if you do.
Yeah.
Instead of commending
It's a
someone
double-edged sword. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
instead of commending someone for making that type of decision and choice for themselves, they will it's almost like low-key pressuring, "Well, how you know if you ain't never" like,
You never had it. Yes, yes, yes.
well, just keep that opinion
Keep that energy
to
over there.
yourself because this, that type of reverse psychology or whatever is not working over here. It's not going to make me have second thoughts or whatever. It's like that
Right.
because I'm quite aware that the grass always looks greener. It always looks greener.
Looks greener. Mhm.
It, it's never to say life is perfect because nobody's life is perfect, but I also will say that me saying that doesn't mean that I've when I'm saying that it means that I've gone through that type of stuff because I haven't. I'm just saying there have been life moments, people getting sick, people losing jobs, people, you know what I mean, layoffs and just life stuff that you cannot control. I'm not talking about people making the, "Oh, I made a mistake and no,
Mm-mm. No.
no."
Okay. Yeah, but that's a blessing, though. I mean, I really am. I'm so happy to hear that you have that solid foundation. And so, when as parents, what are some of the things you can share with us, as you evolve from a teen parent until the woman that you are now and the parent that you are now? Can you give us some of the evolution processes that you dealt with from being a teen parent, being with the same guy for all this time? And being a wife? How's that evolution process look to you?
I mean, I'm grateful because I just always kept my focus on us. I didn't look at what other
Good.
people
Yes.
were doing, longing, craving for what, may have looked, whatever. And then you never really know what's going on behind closed doors with people. So I always just kept my focus on my family. And when I say my family, I mean my immediate, that was my husband
Mhm.
and our son. So
Yes.
we spent many years continuing our education. I decided to go into the world of entrepreneurship. That was not easy and it was scary, but I took a step out of faith on faith and did that. And he supported me even in those times where he was just like, "Are you crazy?" Like,
Like you
you know what I
taking
mean?
a leap, giant leap. Mhm.
Right, because not understanding it, but still believing in me and like, well, I hope, hope everything works out. And then even supporting me in those ventures. And then when starting to see the results of the success and whatever, and being proud of me. And then there were times where I had gone through sickness and I wasn't able to work for quite some time, and I was, just a few years in, starting n operating my businesses that I had started, and he was just like, "Well, you don't have to do this," and I'm, like, appreciative, but I'm like, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. But even in that, supporting me and taking care of me and, those different types of things like that. So, it has just been us being the example for our son, and uh, he's a blessing. He's a hardworking young man. He doesn't have any children. So we've been the example for him, and he's just like, "I'm focusing on my career, if I give y'all some
Love it.
grandkids someday, mama, I'll keep you posted, but right now that's not." And
I
he's
love
and
it.
I'm like, "Well, yeah, just, no pressure there, but," and then he's like, "Mom, I ain't gay, all right?"
Why do boys gotta
I
say
don't
that? My
know.
sister said the same thing. I'm like, "Okay, if you needed me to know that, okay." But
Exactly, I don't know, but maybe they just already have a thing where it's like
yeah.
because and that is that's also another stereotype too, where it's just
Yeah.
people have this feeling that if a man, especially a black man at a certain age,
Don't get
does not
married or
have
have
at
children.
least one
Mhm.
child, or they're not married and they're just focusing on their work and their career, it's because they're hiding something. No,
Right, right. They
because
just living their lives
yeah, just because you had 6 kids by the age of 19 does
with
not
different
mean
people.
that
Yeah.
every male, especially a
Right, it has to be.
yeah,
Some people just want to they rather just live life on their terms, and I mean, I ain't mad at you at all.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
but I appreciate you giving a refreshing take on, you know, being married and being with the same guy since high school and, having that family unit and not letting all the outside noise interfere with that. So